All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from Sales Pop, online sales magazine, and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Nathan Winegardner, who is on the other side of the country in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing all right, thank you.
Yeah, Nathan has set the standard for Upstart 13's dedication to making a positive difference in technology and beyond. He's the CXO, a role that allows him to nurture and amplify the relationships forged with customers. Your tech journey began 25 years ago with a fervent belief in technology's transformative power. And during the past decade, you have significantly impacted Bolivia's technology landscape, rising from a TAM to the sales leader for the country's principal service provider. So let's just talk. Let's talk a little bit about first. Uh, what makes for a when you've been involved in startups and putting technology companies together. How can you start and build a technology company that is customer focused from the get-go? Because sometimes they tend to be a bit technology focused or otherwise, but how do you get one customer focused from the get-go?
Well, for us, it was a CEO that was very culture oriented. So making sure that from day one, we built the culture with every hire. So as we did that, we've all brought them in to know that, hey, we're going to be customer focused. We're going to solve their problems. We're going to put them in front of us. It's more important that they get their solutions than we are in their business forever. So let's just make sure that we always orient to that. And as we did that, we found that one, it was engaging for everybody, and two, our customers loved it because they felt like we were really advocating for them
Mhm.
and not just pushing what we do, not just always looking for the upsell. So it's worked for us.
Yeah. So as you hired to that culture, what kind of people were you looking for? Because I mean, especially if you're hiring technologists, sometimes technologists, technology people can be of a certain type, if you like. So, I mean, what was the profile of people you were looking for? Or
Well, we had at the time we had five core values that we hired into, and then we reduced it to three. But we always start with the core value assessment. Right person, right seat. We borrowed that from EOS,
Mhm.
and it became sort of a mantra for us that we start with the person. We sort of expect the talent in terms of the skill and what they can provide once in the seat is going to be there regardless. So let's look for the extra things. Let's look for the personality, the core value match, the willingness to kind of orient to a culture that works together and is not necessarily out for their own good all the time. There's definitely room for that with growth and transformation in terms of your career, but we wanted to come together as an organization to deliver a solution and not just a bunch of individuals.
Right. And tell me, why are technology companies like well positioned to be transformative with customers? Because obviously, like technology, digital transformation, and all of that. So, how do you help your customers through this journey of digital transformation?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a big topic. What we do largely is help them narrow the scope of the transformation.
Mhm.
Everybody tends to come with a mandate, like we've been told to use AI, we got to start doing that, or whatever it might be. And their first question is, where do we start? So we actually reverse that on them and start breaking it down into let's try to get to a problem area that you want to solve. Let's try to get to a use case that would be valuable. And then if we can associate that with revenue, with cost savings, with a competitive advantage, then let's actually talk about solving that problem or transforming that part of the business. So we try to make it bite sized
Mhm.
and just get some success and see the measurable outcome. And if that's good, let's do more of that. I think it's just too big a problem otherwise um, to jump into.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you, and I think it's important, obviously, isn't it, to get some quick wins in early so that people see the benefits of this.
Yeah, it is. And you're also building trust in that first few weeks. So if you
Mm.
can't win, build trust, and get to a good outcome in that first 90 days, I always say that first 90 days is key. If you succeed there, you're probably going to be someone you can trust for as long as you want them in your business. And if you can't, then cut it off early and go somewhere else because everything you see in that first 90 days is really indicative of what you got in a partner.
Yeah, very true. And I think the other thing too, sometimes your companies overlook, or certainly vendors overlook, is that initial excitement on behalf of the customer. They're excited about the solution, they want to buy it. Then once they buy it, then they start to go, "Ooh, now I'm on the hook for this. I'm a little bit nervous." And sometimes, if you're not hand holding and being really focused and helping them, you can get a bit of a dip that's hard to come back from.
Yeah, you can. It certainly is hard to come back from. So, what we try to do to ease that is we have this governance model that sounds much more formal than it is. It's really just a communication cadence. We're going to be talking to you at all these points. We're going to be validating that what we said and sold you're actually getting. And if you're not, just tell us. We'll adjust, we'll make the adjustments on the fly because it's just be honest, be transparent. And if you're not getting what you need, tell us. And if we can't adjust to that, then again, we'll help you find somebody else. Like you need partners with that sort of mentality.
Right.
It's your business. You need to get to your outcomes.
Yeah, no, and I like that too. I bet that is the fact is, if you're not the right fit, let's find somebody else who is for you, and bless you, send you on your way, and who knows how that comes back to you in the future. But having that abundant mindset.
Right. It's worked for us. It's worked for us from a standpoint of, hey, we are good at what we do, and we could probably do that. But here's a group that actually does this as a specialty. They'd be better for you. So
Mhm.
instead of, and like you said, it's abundance mentality. Something will open up for us. There's lots of jobs. There's lots of opportunities. So just
Mhm.
find the right fit. That's good for everybody.
Yeah. And you've done a lot of work, obviously Latin America, and so
Yeah.
just tell me a little bit about the technology industry there. I mean, obviously we said in your bio we're talking about Bolivia and that, but it's probably something a lot of people don't have great insight into.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I've worked there since 2005, and sometimes I'm surprised at how advanced and how competitive and just how engaged Latin America is as a tech economy. From the orange economy in Colombia to how many years has Brazil been leading in their particular space and startup mentality, and Chile and Uruguay and all that Argentina has been doing to compete as well. So it's everywhere. There's so much talent. And what I love about and this is why we started the company, is
Mhm.
just because the spirit of the Latin American engineer is just infectious. They're learners, they're engaging, they're social. It's just really fun to be in the project with these guys and gals,
Mhm.
and they're really committed. They just have a real sense of what we put our mind to, we're going to come through with, and it's been evident in the people we've worked with, and it's shown up for the customers as well.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and engineers and developers who like to be social. That's a nice
It
change.
is it is a nice change, and it is always shocking, but, given, the stereotype of engineer, and I was a developer, a very bad
Mm.
developer at a certain period of time, but, it is just sort of built into their social fabric, and, it comes out at work, and it comes out when we do get a chance to get together, all those things.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll just give you a quick anecdote, just funny. I had a lead developer I worked with one time. He came over from Ireland to the States, where I was working, and we gave him an office, a beautiful office. It was a little office. It was overlooking the marina, had a beautiful view and everything. First thing he did was pull the shades down, turn out the lights, block out the windows, and live in his dark cave.
Yeah, yeah, I know what it's like, so, um
Yeah, it's funny. The other thing too is, I guess, as you build teams now, and you build organizations, teams tend to be a lot more distributed. or the organizational structures are changing so radically. Your access to talent is much broader. How have you found that in terms of being able to harness that and manage people across, especially when you don't have a team altogether?
Yeah, well, one of the things that helped us was necessity. Like
Hmm.
we kicked off in COVID at the beginning of COVID, so we had no choice but to be remote and to make it work. So we built our culture around that. So that really was an advantage to us versus having started with people in building on premise and then having to go to that and get used to how do you get the same throughput output connectivity that you once had now remote. So for us, it was just this is who we are. And we found that all the engineers, and particularly those younger crowd, this is
Hmm.
just how they want to work. So it became, hey, let's just roll on with this. Let's take advantage of the fact that this is how they want to operate. And let's leverage that as a strength. So it became so for us, but I can understand how that transition and even the consideration to go back to office is like, okay, but I'm not sure the workforce of today really wants to do that. So how can you make space for both?
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. And an interesting thing is we were a virtual organization long before COVID, well, largely virtual. But we did have our development center in Slovakia and Bratislava, where the developers were, and obviously, and they were the ones who were they always wanted to be in the office and in the bullpen and all of that. And then COVID came along, and they had to go home. And guess what? They suddenly decided, hmm, I like this better.
Yeah.
And now we only have a small, like, hot office where, a few people can come in and go out if they want whenever, but everybody else is virtual. But it's funny because, that was the group who was, no, no, we always need to be together and bouncing off each other. And now they discovered, no, actually, we're quite happy this way. So I think, I agree with you. I think organizations, if your business allows it, I think, accommodating, remote and virtual, and learning how to optimize that is the way to go.
Yeah, and I think if you embrace innovations in all aspects of what that means in creativity,
Mhm.
your teams are going to find a way to get to the same outcomes no matter what. Now, you may have to train this way, that way, or have some frameworks that help you systematically get to that end. But I always know, you observe teams, and I've been around teams in this software space for so long. You know who's engaged, you know who's not, and you can, dive into that to see if something's really going on at a personal level or whatever it may be. But then if you take your decisions and you have the right accountability, I don't think it should be an issue anymore, honestly.
No, no, I agree, and I guess part of that then is, and just your organization in general. Obviously, communication is key, and making everybody feel that they're informed, um, seen, heard, and understood. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I we you know we have this culture of accountability that begins with let's talk about real issues.
Mhm.
Let's actually get beyond just the surface level stuff, and let's talk about when a problem's a problem, and let's be honest, and it's not from a sort of a witch hunt mentality. It's, hey, how can we help and how can we be in this together because we have to change this outcome. So
Mhm.
what's really going on? And that helps us solve problems. It helps us solve issues with people or people management, and it helps people, like you said, be heard, be seen, be valued. As long as we're doing that, that's why our culture becomes so strong, and then it becomes, can you do that at scale? So
Mhm.
that's what we're learning at this point.
Yeah, yeah. And as you start to do that at scale, what are some of the challenges as you start to scale this model?
Well, because you're so tight and everybody's into everything, and you still have founders involved and those that were early on in the company that learned in collaboration together. Now everybody, you're not in every conversation. You're
Mhm.
not, in every deal. You're not participating in every delivery model. So the fabric of how you train, how you onboard, the time it takes to really seed the values, that you have to make great space for that, more space than I ever thought we would have to make. Because if
Mhm.
you don't keep that core and you don't train and you don't do some ride-alongs and participations and some live coaching, um, it's easy to lose that quickly, and then you're sort of upside down and things are happening in the business that you never intended to see happen. Um,
Yeah.
so it's train, it's train, it's train, uh, and get that message out.
Yeah, and coaching. I'm glad you mentioned coaching. Coaching is such an important thing, but most people don't know how to coach. Right? Most people's idea of coaching, as I always say, most people's idea of coaching is when they were in high school or whatever. Their coach shouting at them from the sideline, and they don't understand what coaching like adults in a professional setting is. So, just talk to me a little bit about how important coaching is to what you do.
Yeah, we as an executive team were coached early on, and Scott Burkow was the guy's name. He was amazing, and he gave us sessions on how to give feedback, and he taught us that it wasn't how we want to give it; it was how it was going to be heard, and you had to tailor everything so that your message would be heard and it would actually have a chance to seed and produce different outcomes. And it was so hard because we're all used to just saying things the way we say it, but I had to understand my people, to understand how they hear, how they process. How do I say this so it lands and have richer conversations? So that was one of the best things we ever did, and that's something that as we do our live coaching, as we have grown the company, we've kept that model of feedback mechanism, the platinum rule he called it, and it's been something that runs through our DNA. So it's been very valuable for us to be able to coach with that perspective.
Yeah, and I guess going back to what we talked about earlier, when you hire people, I presume like coachability is something you look for.
It definitely is. Whether that's trying to ask a question that gets to that in the interview itself, or to bring up situational stuff that would allow them to speak to what they're willing to say they don't know, and then how open they are to taking feedback, to actually thinking about it with a different perspective. All those things, we bracket that inside our behavioral analysis portion of how we engage with people that come in. So yeah, it's part of what we do. It's something that's super important because if you're not coachable, you probably won't last long in our company. And I think in general, it's just the humility to say I don't know and I need help, and to take that and run with it is something we're all looking for.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, let's face it. I mean, the world today has gotten so complex, and that there's that if everybody doesn't know a lot of things, right? And
Right.
everybody needs help, regardless of whether you're the most experienced or you're a rookie or whatever. We all have massive knowledge gaps today, or skills gaps that we need other people to help us.
Yeah, we do, and hopefully we're not trying to mask that now with AI at our
Mhm.
fingertips and try to say the right thing, do the right thing. Hopefully we can hold on to that humanity as we move into this new tech age. But yeah, I mean, for all of us to be sort of lead with a limp, and be able to say, "Hey, we need help. You need help. Let's help each other," is a nice mentality to have.
Yeah, and just quickly, how much is AI impacting your business?
Oh, it's everywhere.
Mhm.
Every conversation since probably April. Uh, if it didn't start there, it finished there, and it was
Mhm.
the questions of how should I be bringing it into the business? How should I use it in this particular problem set? Or even, hey, we've started a POC. Can you enrich this? Can you drive this forward? Everybody knows there's advantages to be had there, and it's true. And I think a little patience in terms of how it's to be applied, allowing some of the landscape to even become a little more mature before you
Mhm.
dive too deeply. I think there's some value in waiting a bit as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think also, being, using integrating tools maybe one at a time and making sure that they're used properly, and then just generally understanding. I mean, I think a lot of people have a superficial understanding of AI, and they obviously need to get a bit of a deeper understanding to understand that it's not quite as simple as it seems. Particularly when you want to start bringing stuff internally.
Yeah, it's it's super complex, and I tell you, it is also super fun to be
Yeah,
developed. ad space and to see how the multi-system agentic models are coming together and offloading some things
Mhm.
that you would have thought when I started. I'm like, it's so futuristic, it will never happen, and it's already being done, right? So it's cool to see it come to fruition.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've integrated a lot of, we've put a lot of AI into Pipeline or CRM now, and it's just fantastic. I mean, we're and especially because we came at it from a point of view of how can we how can we help salespeople in order to let them do more valuable things, right? So
Yeah.
basically approach it from the point of view of this takes away a lot of the other stuff, so allows you to be better at the core of selling.
Yeah, and that goes to something that Dan Sullivan wrote a book that I really loved was 10x is easier than 2x, and he really speaks a lot about unique ability. So with this age
Mhm.
of AI, how do you get people into their unique ability and surround them with the AI that enriches and offloads what they're maybe not their best skill sets or administrative or operational, and allows them to really thrive in what they do. So
Yeah.
we think about that as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely the right approach. Well, listen, Nathan, this has been fast. Thank you. I mean, we covered a lot of ground in such a short time. All of Nathan's information will be below this video. But before we go, please do tell people a little bit more about you and what you do.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Upstart 13, we're an organization that originated in Medellin, Colombia. Like I said, the 13 is part of Comuna Trece, which was a neighborhood that really impacted us founders early on. Just the transformation that took place there is what we wanted to see happen, not just on the social and economic standpoint, but how we built the company, how we transformed that into changing lives of our engineers, changing lives of customers, and the trajectory of where everybody ends up. And that's just fed through the services that we provide, whether that's helping a company that's sort of becoming irrelevant because they're a little more traditional and haven't invested in technology like they should, all the way
Yeah.
to we're right there on the doorstep. We're trying new forward thinking, but we need to mature how we're doing that so we can help both of those companies to transform and reach their goals. So that's really where we spend most of our time is helping companies make that leap and use technology well to get an advantage.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, listen, thanks again, Nathan. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you.